What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports. We're really excited to be supporting the Free Agent Friday series. A lot of great talent out there. Without further ado, this is the next free agent you should be signing with your sports team.
All right, we're back for another Free Agent Friday, and today I've got Cameron Carlin with me. How are you, Cameron?
Dude, I'm so good. Thanks for doing this, Andrew. You're
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, thanks for joining me. So let's start off with, your college days. Where'd you go to school, your degrees?
Yeah, let's do that. Went to Trinity University in San Antonio, small liberal arts school. Loved it, loved every minute of it. I majored in communication with a minor in sport management, just like everyone else, right? But I stood out because I did all the service leadership. I did the student ambassadors, I did tour guide, I was an RA at one point. And I just love that aspect of leading a group of people towards a common goal. And so I was lucky enough, and I was in San Antonio, and the Spurs called, and I got to do a cool internship there, and it was actually led into a full-time role. And so it was an incredible journey, and I'm just so excited to see where it takes me next.
What kind of role did you have on the internship? Was it kind of just general, or was it any specific?
That was a community engagement internship. I actually just got it from doing an informational interview one day. I called up, I said, hey, look, this is what I would love to do. My goal.
Yeah.
And luckily someone answered, right? The worst they could say was no. I called, and so I got in that interview, and then they said, let me introduce you to someone else. And so then that led to another informational interview. And then by the time the interview came around for the internship, I knew all of them and knew my drive and my passion. So that was super exciting to actually lead into that role to an intern. And then that led into an associate role, and then it led into a full-time role after that.
At what point did you decide you wanted to work in sports?
Yeah, that was a good question. It's not just for being a fan of sports. It actually came from when I was little, when I was about 10 years old, and I actually went to the youth academy of the Houston Astros. Are you familiar with those at all?
Mm-mm.
So most MLB teams pretty much have a youth academy where they set up in an underserved area, and they provide free baseball and softball lessons for kids. And I actually showed up one day, and I got to take part in it. And they don't just teach you how to be a great baseball player. They teach you how to be a major league citizen there. And that was incredible. I learned leadership, character traits, how to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, manners. And that's where I, not at 10 years old, but maybe around 16 or 17, I really fell in love with doing that for someone else and being in a position where I could help others use that platform of a professional sports team to engage in the community and offer that kind of support for them. And that led on, and did a couple internships along the way. And that really just hit home and really showed me that I was on the right path.
How about another internship with Major League Baseball? What'd you do there?
Major League Baseball, incredible, dream job. That was with the baseball and softball development group. And that's really when Manfred came in, he was big on youth sports and getting kids playing the game, because then they're going to be fans of the game later on. So that was really with the RBI front.
Just like how you got hooked.
Let me tell you how I got that. That was incredible. That's a story. So the winter meetings, you know those?
Yep.
Went to that, big price to pay. I saw it as an investment in my career, but you have to pay for a hotel, airfare, everything. The conference was there for about 5 days. On the last day, walking around the trade show, not the job fair, the trade show, just talking to people. You never know who you're bumping elbows with. After 30 minutes of conversation with the guy, he hands me a business card and he says, I'd really like you to apply for our internship. You really impressed us. And I looked down at the business card. It says Vice President of Major League Baseball. And so I had no idea. And he was baseball and softball development, which was in charge of the RBI and youth academies that I was growing up with. And so I was just sharing my passion and my experiences. And he said, it's in New York. If you can come, we'd love to have you. So I applied, and there was about 4 or 5 rounds of interviews. But I ended up getting it, moved up to New York. Ooh, loved it. New York City, 21. How much better can it get? My sister lives up there with my niece, and so I got to spend some great time with him. As far as projects go, one big project that I did was Play Ball Park. So at the All-Star games, they have this Play Ball Park that's kind of at the convention area for kids and for families to go and spend time with. I had to organize about 1,400 kids to show up in Cleveland, Ohio from New York. I was working in New York. but just called local nonprofits, youth organizations around Cleveland, said, hey, will you show up at this time? And hope they show up. But you have that communication there, and you're communicating to MLB to say this group is here at this time, this group's here at this time, and then USA Baseball, USA Softball. So it was an incredible platform, and to learn that at such a young age and to be able to have those communication skills and problem solving skills for when a group doesn't show up, what do you do next? It was so awesome. And they flew me from Florida to California, and we went to Boston,
Wow.
just going after those RBI regionals. It's kind of like a Little League World Series.
Okay.
But for RBI, it's for underserved communities to give them the opportunity to play baseball and softball.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
Is that kind of similar to the program that you attended as a kid?
So yeah, very similar.
Okay.
Same exact program. And so once we actually got to at the end of the program, it's called the World Series, and they fly all of these teams that won their regionals to one city. And at the World Series, I actually got to sit on a seminar, a committee, and a host, or what do you call them, a panel? There we go. That's the right terminology. I got to sit on a panel and talk to these kids and say, I was exactly in your shoes, and I grew up in that program, and look at what I'm doing now. Hard work, dedication, always having a smile on your face, asking where you can help. And it was an incredible opportunity for me.
That's cool. What is your kind of position you're looking for now?
I was in my dream role whenever this whole COVID hit. I had the ability to run a youth league. We ran the Spurs Youth Basketball League, which was about 10,000 kids all across South Texas, where we'd provide jerseys and lower the cost of basketball for kids. And we were able to teach those awesome traits. Coach Popovich is an amazing person, and he started this no drug and alcohol league, and it turned into the Spurs Youth Basketball League. So we're able to use the platform of sports to help influence and to help these kids come into world-class citizens. And that's really what I'm looking for in my next role, is to use sports as a vehicle to teach those leadership character traits, because we know that they love sports, they love playing, so there's a motivation there. So just using that and trying to, I love sports, and I think kids do too, and so I really want to find something maybe like a community relations coordinator in youth sports.
Open to relocation?
No doubt. I'm young, right?
Yeah.
I love traveling. I love working, and I know how little the jobs are out there. So there's no limit to where I would go. Overseas, London, no idea. Okay. I think that my background and my experiences, they're so diverse, and they're in NBA and MLB, at the league office, at an independent baseball level. Yep. I feel like I have a lot to offer to the table. I just need a foot in the door to where I can prove myself.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, it's, there's hundreds of people that apply for jobs. How do you stick out? Hopefully our video can help. And, you got a great background here. So I don't think you'll be out long.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Incredible industry that we work in, or that I did work in. Hopefully I am. But the people that you work with are awesome. You spend more time with your work team than you do with your actual family. And it's proven time and time again that those people are awesome. Just like you're doing, Andrew, with this show. We look out for each other, and we're we know how lucky we are to where we work. And so I'm super passionate and super pumped to see where my next step is.
What would you say is your biggest skill that you'll bring to a new position?
Yeah. I'm big on customer service. I think that our customer is the one that's right in every situation, and we're trying to put a smile on their face. So I'm doing everything I can, whether it be prepping for an event or at an actual event, follow-up survey, how can we make it better? I think that's where you have successful events, is whenever your participants enjoy coming. And they spread the word, and it's mouth to mouth, and they're able to talk to other people and say, hey, have you checked this out? Because they're your most important asset to any event. And so I lose sleep over how do we make an event better for the participant. I would say that asset, I'm incredibly efficient. I work hard just like everyone else. Hopefully I work harder than anybody else, but that efficiency is really, what can I do with the least amount of time possible, least amount of resources. One example of this would be I actually wrote a book for Spurs Give about a month ago. Ooh, time flies. But it's called The Coyote Family Stays Home. I have a copy here, and I'll show you. But we were able to use that platform that the Spurs have in the world and talk about COVID. How does the mascot Coyote, how does he stay healthy, happy, and during this time? And so I actually wrote that book and we pushed it out, made it in English and Spanish. It was a free downloadable book online. And I had 3 months to do it and I was able to knock it out. So it was super awesome. And
Nice.
that started a reading challenge that we did with Whataburger. Do you know what Whataburger is?
Oh yeah. I just saw they're expanding to Tennessee and Missouri. So,
Yeah, that's our in and out, that California in and out.
Yeah.
So Whataburger jumped on board and we were able to promote literacy. So it's not in that youth sports front that I was originally in, but I was able to expand and to use my resources and my skills to put out a book, which was pretty unique.
What would you say is the biggest area you need to work on?
Yeah, I'm big on feedback and figuring out where I can get better, because as soon as you identify what you're weakest at, that just only makes you that much better moving forward. So
Yep.
I would say one of my strengths, efficiency, is one of my weaknesses as well, because when you're going at that fast tempo and you're trying to get as productive as possible, you do sometimes lose that lack of detail in projects. And so I've really worked on that in my past 2 experiences, because I really was able to flag that early on and see, wow, you are moving a lot faster than a lot of the others. And so being able to slow down at points and make sure that you're being intentional with the words that you're using, making sure that you're not losing that attention to detail in projects. And so I'm able to acknowledge it and then work on it, and hopefully it's improving every day.
Nice. Tell me about your the podcast you started last week. Like, what's that all about?
Yes, thank you for letting me promote my podcast.
Yeah.
That was just a fun project, just sitting on my butt, making sure that I'm not doing anything, that I'm actually being productive. So that was called the Youth Sports Coaching 101 podcast. And that is a fun project for me, because I got to talk to key leaders and industry leaders in youth sports. And we really just put out some tips and some resources for coaches to learn and grow. Because I know a lot of coaches go to seminars or workshops, and I was really looking for a fun and accessible way for coaches to grow and to develop the young athletes. And so I thought no more than a podcast, just like you have. They can download it from their phone, and we've gotten some great feedback. The reviews are awesome. Like hearing it from a coach all the way in California talk about how you
Sweet, isn't it? Yeah.
There's no better feeling, and you did it from the comfort of your couch.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. We have about 3 episodes right now, and I've been able to use my network to spread that knowledge and that expertise out to the world.
What do you have it on?
Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Okay. That's where we're at right now.
Okay, cool. So you planning to do that like once a week, or what's the plans for that?
So I put out 3 episodes, just as feeler, just see what it's like. I'm planning on doing another 3 episodes here pretty soon. You might look out for a phone call from me, because I might be asking for some advice.
Hey, anytime.
Yeah, just using that network, because I have this awesome platform where I have this access to vice president of youth sports for Major League Baseball or youth the San Antonio Spurs that not many people have, and so I want to make sure that
that's cool.
Yeah,
now's a great time to get some information out there, and like you're helping other people.
Yeah, and
you know, it's cool.
One person, that's enough for me, right? I don't need to do the masses. While that'd be great and awesome, and I could get an advertisement, that'd be awesome. But that one person, to know that they're going to be able to be on the right path and changing lives using sports to impact leadership and character traits, that's enough for me.
How about give us a fun fact about you?
Ooh, fun facts. Okay, so you ready for this one? I trained alpacas for the Houston Rodeo. Do you know what an alpaca is?
Is that like the furry thing? I don't know how to describe it, but
you're right on. It's like a llama. It's just a little bit cuter. Yeah.
I didn't realize how big of a market that is, because where my office is now, it's in an Expo Center because they're building our stadium.
Yeah.
And
beautiful stadium, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be great. They told me that they did Alpaca shows there,
Yeah.
and the GM was telling me how huge it was and how much money there is in this. I'm like, what in the
It's like
world?
a glorified sheep. So it's a more luxurious version of a sheep. You're still using that fiber. You're not using the meat or anything. It's strictly just the fiber.
Right.
And you make soft and warm clothes. Down here in the South, it's not as important, but up there in the North, when you have a warm coat or a warm
Right.
that's where we make the most of our products. And so I was actually able to help with the social media front for our farm, and it was a fun process to.
Was it on the resume, man? Come on.
Oh, dude, I gotta edit that resume now. I'm back into that feeling. I think I owe you a resume, so I'll get that. But yeah, I'll make sure to put that on there.
No, man, it was good talking to you and hearing about the projects that you were working on, and I love the energy. Number one, it sounds like you'd be a great person to have, on the staff somewhere. So, I think things are starting to, kind of getting a little bad, and now they're, teams are starting to kind of get back. It's going to be a little slow, but keep doing what you're doing on the podcast. Stay active. Keep networking, and stuff will work out. It's just like when you met that VP of baseball. You never know.
Right.
LinkedIn's a great tool.
Right. And Andrew, thank you again for doing this for not only me, but for others. And I'll continue to support you and anybody else. If anybody on here, maybe it's a college student or anybody that's looking in the sport industry, I'm more than happy to get on a phone and just share my experience or how I could help. I got as much time on my hands as ever, so looking to help.